When Jesus finished giving instructions to his 12 disciples, he departed from there to teach and preach in their cities. So he's teaching and preaching. Now when John, while imprisoned, heard of the works of Christ, he sent word by his disciples and said to him, "Are you the expected one, or shall we look for someone else?" Jesus answered and said to them, "Go and report to John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, the leopards are cleansed, and the deaf hear. Dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he who does not take offense at me." Who does not? Or do I take offense to Jesus? Or by following him? Am I easily offended by others when they mock me for it? So here we are, John is in prison, and he's hearing about the works of Christ. As these men were going away, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John. "What did you go out in the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? But what did you go out to see? A man dressed in soft clothing? Those who wear soft clothing are in kings' palaces. But what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and the one who is more than a prophet." So what is it? Jesus is more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, "Behold, I send my messengers ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you. Truly I say to you, among those born of women there has not arisen anyone greater than John the Baptist." There's John the Baptist. "Yet the one who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he." You see that? "From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and violent men take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if you are willing to accept it, John himself is Elijah who was to come. He who has ears, let him hear. But to what shall I compare this generation? It is like children sitting in the marketplaces, who call out to other children and say, 'We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We sang a dirge, and you did not mourn. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he has a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking. They said, Behold, a gluttonous man and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. Yet wisdom is vindicated by her deeds.' Then he began to denounce the cities in which most of his miracles were done." Wow, look at that. "Because they did not repent." So he is denouncing them. They are not repenting. Even though God is doing so many amazing miracles, Jesus is healing them, they still would not repent. "Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida! For if the miracles had occurred in Tyre and Sidon, which occurred in you, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. Nevertheless, I say to you, it will be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon in the day of judgment than for you. And you, Capernaum, will not be exalted to heaven, will you? You will descend to Hades. For if the miracles had occurred in Sodom, which occurred in you, it would have remained to this day. Nevertheless, I say to you that it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for you." At that time Jesus said, "I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and intelligent and have revealed them to infants." Praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. We have to be like children when we come before God, humble. "Yes, Father, for this way was well-pleasing in your sight." It's well-pleasing in his sight. "All things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, nor does anyone know the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wills to reveal him." The Son wills to reveal him. God, may we be worthy of that. "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So what we have here is it starts with Jesus giving instructions to the 12 disciples to go and teach and preach. Now John is imprisoned right now. I'm assuming this is John the Baptist, and he's making request. He heard of the works of Christ. And the disciples are going back to report to John what is happening, which Jesus is doing amazing miracles. He says that he is a prophet, that it speaks more about John the Baptist, that anyone who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. It says we should have ears to hear, we should hear. We talk about how the towns were not, Sidon and Tyre were not repenting, even though God was doing miracles, they would not believe. And how we need to come like children before God and receive him that way, and that we also can come to God, all who are weary and heavy laden, he will give me rest. And so that I should give all my stresses over to him, and that he will give me rest for my soul, and a burden that is light.